Hey guys, Andrew with Fuji. We're here in the build shop. Today we're going to build a 7-wood with VENTUS Red with VeloCore Plus. We're going to talk a little bit about the usage of 7 woods and why they've gotten so popular, and also why we're starting to see some VENTUS Reds more on tour. So let's get started. With the 7 wood, we're going to want to tip an inch. With a 7 wood, it's going to be a heavier head weight than a 5 wood or a 3 wood. So to accommodate for that droop, I'll usually tip a little bit extra. So if a player is playing straight in their driver, then usually about an inch is going to be pretty good. On a 7 wood, inch, inch and a half, inch and a quarter if you want to be a little tour sauce. Let's tip it. Why are we seeing so many players start playing a 7 wood? For starters, I think, the 4-iron's really hard to hit. It's really intimidating to look at it address, and it's hard to hit higher up in the air. Maybe it gets our number that we want, we're hitting it out there 180, 200, 225 yards, whatever it is. But the problem is we're getting it really low, and it doesn't have a steep enough descent angle. And so if we have a 4-iron to a par 5 or maybe a long par 3, it's not really going to hold a green. And so players are realizing that a 7 wood with the CG so far back, it's extremely forgiving, and 2, it's going to send that ball straight up in the air, and it's going to land really soft on the green with a really nice steep descent angle. We're going to have a good look at birdie, or even the big bird for an eagle. And so let's glue this guy up here. Why are we seeing more VENTUS Red? Not only with a lot of players, but on tour as well. What we're seeing is with lofts getting stronger, with club heads not spinning as much, with the driver not spinning as much, with people trying to get more distance, the driver is just not staying in the air as much as we need it to. The spin rates are getting a little lower. And so with VENTUS Red, we're still able to get a really good mid-launch and still have really good spin. So it's going to spin a little bit more than blue, a little more than TR blue as well. And so you're seeing players on tour switch into the new heads for 2025. And maybe they're not getting the spin that they were from last year with the heads that were spinning more. And so they're switching into a profile that not only is still very stable in the handle section, but it's going to have a little bit more dynamic loft in the midsection, tip section that'll give them a little bit more launch and a little bit more spin, so they get that added tighter dispersion. Because the problem with low spin is we're going to really struggle to keep that ball in the fairway. For us, we say that spin is control here, and we really like to, especially with driver, be around 2,500 RPMs of spin. And so you combo a VENTUS Red with a 7 wood, and you're going to be attacking some par 5s, and that'll be a good weapon for the golf course. And 7 woods are really easy to hit. 4-irons aren't the easiest things to hit. You're even seeing tour players, they might be gaming a full set of blade irons. When they get to their 4-iron, they're getting something that has a little bit more of a cavity, and maybe something that's a little bit more forgiving. But not only that, it's lower CG to launch that ball straight up in the air. And the 7 wood has that similar idea. It's just a lot easier to hit and has a lot of good utility usage to it. Honestly, it kind of, talking with tour players, it feels like a cheat code. You're seeing these players anywhere between 230 to even 250 out, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to toss a 7 wood straight up in the air, just land on that par 5, 2-putt for birdie, and win a tournament. Simple as that. Let's cure this guy. All right, and then we'll cut its length and we'll keep it moving. All right, so we're finishing the curing cell. That's a full 24-hour cure after 10 minutes. Grab it out of there. We're going to grab our head. The one thing that we can agree on in the golf industry is that no one agrees, so everyone's lengths are a little bit different on the rulers. This ruler out here is kind of our standard. So we're going to cut this standard 7 wood length. And even then, everyone has a different 7 wood length, so I'm going to double check here. We're going to cut this to standard length for this particular OEM. It over and make sure we're really nice and even. Looking mean and ready to go. Hit some high, soft approach shots into a par 3, into a par 5. Get some birdies, get some skins money off those long par 3s, maybe eagles into some par 5s. Clean up and you are good to go. That is VENTUS Red with VeloCore Plus and the 7-wood.